Hi everyone, my name's Christine Sloan and I'm the art teacher at South Grenville District High School in Prescott, and this will be our first lesson in our Spencerville Fair art class, so let's get started. So for our first lesson we are going to paint the colorful pig. So let's get started. First thing you're going to need is a canvas from the dollar store, paper works as well, 3 different size paintbrushes, large, medium, and small, but again, you can use whatever. And this is the fun part, the paint. So we have red, blue, and yellow, our primary colors. I snuck in some green, even though we can mix our own green, and black and white. What we're going to do first is outline our pig, and then we're going to add all sorts of different splashes of color to make it look like a fun, colorful pig. Don't forget also water and paper towel. All right, so follow along with me. I'm going to dip my paintbrush into my water, and I'm going to draw the outline of my pig first. So mix a little bit of water into your black, and we're gonna draw the outline. A fancy word for the outline is also a contour line drawing. So let's place the head of our pig. So I'm gonna find the center of my canvas or paper, and I'm going to draw a half circle. My paint's really wet, and that's okay. My half circle, and then I'm gonna draw from the bottom of my half circle, I'm gonna draw a larger half circle. And you'll notice I'm not too worried about the outlines for now because I'm gonna add more detail later. So this is going to be his face. Now we want to do our belly. So we've got our top half circle and then a larger half circle on the bottom. And then we're going to do a really big belly because he is a really fat pig. And I'm going to start on one side of the face, and I'm going to draw a big circle, half circle, sorry, all the way around until I get to my other side of the face. And again, I'm not really worried about my outline. I can go back and make it nice and crisp later once I add all the fun colors. So there's his big belly. Everyone's belly is going to be different, and that's okay. Now I want to draw his hooves. So his hooves are like the letter W. Long line down, go in to a point, back down, and then back up. So it's a W. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And again, everyone's going to have different size hooves and different placements. As long as they're on the bottom, that's all right. Now, my pig is hanging over his pen. So I'm going to draw a little line on each side of his body, trying to get them as close to straight as possible. So it looks like he's kind of hanging over and checking me out. All right, and we'll paint that later. Now the last thing we need to do before we finish his face, his ears. Okay, so up and flop down. So there is one ear. Okay, so I did a kind of a curved line to a point and brought it back just a little bit, and then a line down. And I'm gonna have these 2 ears different. My other ear is gonna be floppier, coming down this way. Okay, 2 different ears, and that's okay. Now my most favorite thing about the pig, the nose. So the nose is again a half circle And I'm gonna put the nose in the bottom circle that I drew earlier. So a half circle, and then the bottom of the half circle kind of comes into a little curve. And I'm not gonna put the nostrils yet, and I'm also not gonna put his eyes yet, because we're gonna add a whole bunch of fun paint right now, and I don't want to lose the eyes and the nostrils. So we'll come back and do those. So once you're done drawing the outline, we're gonna let it dry a little bit, put my paintbrush into my water, and at that point you can start thinking about what color you want the background. All right, so now that you've decided what color you want your background and your painting is a little drier, you can start painting your background one color and the bottom of your background can be another color. So you can have fun mixing colors, or you can use the colors right out of the tube or the palette, whatever you have. So I'm going to paint my background a light blue. So looking at my palette, I'm going to, in the middle of my palette or paper plate, I'm going to grab a little bit of blue, put it in the center, clean my brush off, because I don't want to cross-contaminate my color, because now I'm going to go grab some white and bring it to the blue and mix that around. And then you'll see a lighter blue happen. So this is going to be my sky, and it can go lighter if you want, or darker, or whatever. So now with this color, I'm going to start painting the background. Now there's a few ways you can paint. You can go side to side, you can go up and down, but what I love to do is crisscross, just like this, little X's. This can take a little time and you overlap, but what it does, it creates texture. And texture is what makes a picture look interesting. It looks like you can almost go and feel it. All right, I know we always tell you not to touch paintings, but we're creating the look that you could almost feel it. And you'll notice that I'm not worried if things look a little messy in my cross-hatching, it's called, because I want it to be interesting looking. We've got to be very careful going up right up to the pig, especially if your outline is not dry. So go nice and slow, take your time. And don't forget, I always paint the sides and top and bottom of my canvas, so then I don't have to go buy a fancy frame. I can just hang it on the wall on a piece or on a nail. Okay, so going up to my pig and being very careful. I'm hoping that you paused the video and waited for it to dry, but if you didn't, that's okay. Let's keep going, just go nice and slow. And if you end up hitting the black and it does smear a little, it is not the end of the world. Let it dry and then you can cover it up with some blue. All right, so I'm just doing my crisscrosses back and forth. Oh, see, even I make mistakes. I smudged it a little, and that's okay. I'll come back and fix that later. I'm gonna do the other side. Don't forget to paint the top of your canvas. Sorry, my arm is probably in the way. Now I ran out of paint. So if you run out of paint, you just mix it again and try and get the color as close as you can. And again, nice and slow around the pig. And while you're painting and crisscrossing, you can start thinking about, what am I going to name my pig? What are you going to name your pig? All right, I'm almost to the end. Crisscrossing, going really slow up to the ear and around the big fat belly. And down to my wall. There. Wash my paintbrush off. And now you can think about what color do you want to do the bottom of the wall. I'm just gonna stick to black so that the colors of my pig pop right out, all right? So adding a little bit of water to my brush, grabbing some black paint, and you can paint the whole entire bottom black or whatever color you would like. And again, just like before, we can crisscross. Okay, little X's or cross hatching. If you heard my scream there, that was my cat climbing up my screen. Of course, when I'm trying to concentrate, my cats get silly. So I'm still painting the sides of my canvas as I go. Okay, painting under that belly. Crisscrossing so that I get every bit of white covered up. Painting takes patience sometimes, so that's why it's nice if you can put music on while you paint, or you can put the TV on in the background, or if you just like the quiet, you can enjoy the peace and quiet while you paint. And X's. Now there's nothing saying you can't, do this again, this painting again, and add 2 pigs or 4 pigs, whatever you think. Finishing up my other side, going right up to the blue. Now you can use different paints too. I'm painting on canvas, so I'm using acrylic paint, so it's plastic paint. And again, you can just buy it from the dollar store or Michael's or any other art shop. If you're doing it on paper, you can use watercolor or tempera paint. And again, I don't really buy a lot of expensive paints for doing these kind of classes because they all work the same. So there's no need to go and buy fancy paints to do these little workshops. There's local dollar stores that have little kits, or the big dollar store names, or just the little art shops. There we go. So there is the wall that he's hanging on. And he's jumping up and looking at me. So I'm washing my brush off. Now I'm going to use my medium brush now. So for the big ones, the big backgrounds, I've used my big brush. So now we're going to use medium brush. Okay, so my most favorite part of this painting is painting the Pig Multicolors. I just have fun doing this because I like colors. I like putting little splashes of paint all over, and you can do it in whatever colors that you want. We have primary colors, so these colors will make any other color. So if you want the color purple, for example, I would mix a little bit of blue and a little bit of red. And then with purple, you can go dark purple, the way we make it, or you can add a little bit of white and have it a light purple. So I'm gonna make purple, and I'm gonna make a little bit of light purple beside it because I'm gonna put a bunch of different brush strokes of purple all over my pig. And then I'll switch to another color. And wait till you see it at the end. It's going to be so much fun. So I took a little bit of blue, a little bit of red, mix them together. Give it a good mix, little twist of your paintbrush. Don't know if you can see that color. beautiful purple color. And then I'm gonna start painting. The great thing about this, there's no right or wrong answer to painting this pig because we're putting splashes of color, almost like we threw a whole bunch of paint at this silly little pig. So I'm gonna put a little splash of color here, okay, just in the corner. So there's one little bit of color. And then I might go over here and add another splash of color. And notice how I'm just painting the color kind of wherever I want. I might put a little bit on his ear. Okay, just a little bit up there on his ear. I might put a little bit on his hoof, this hoof here. And maybe a little on the end here. Yeah, why not? All right, so I'm still using this purple, but now I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. And I know I said to wash your brushes in between, so maybe you should do that because look what I did. But that's okay. So I'm taking a little bit of white and I'm going to mix it into this purple. I might need a little more white. There we go. Mix, mix, mix. And see how it makes a little lighter color as you add the white. You can put a little bit on the side if you want, just add there. So that's a different purple than before. So I'm gonna go back to my pig and I might add this purple in his bottom chin area. Maybe a little bit in this ear. And again, you can decide where you want all of your colors. So I might put some up here, kind of splash that. And I might actually put a little bit on his nose, or maybe 1/2 of his nose. And maybe down this hoof here. Again, you decide, and be careful with the black like I just did, but that's okay. All right, now I'm definitely washing my brush off. And I'm going to now choose a different color. So I'm gonna go directly to my yellow and I'm gonna put some yellow on my pig. And then I'll mix some orange, all right? And I'll let you think about what we're going to do to mix that orange. So taking my yellow, and just like before, we put a little bit of paint on it. Now, if you're gonna go up to another color, just be careful going up so that they don't mix. Or if you want them to mix to create a different color completely, you can totally do that. All right, so I'm gonna mix a little bit of the yellow and the purple together. And I just kind of mix them close together and magic happens. And where else? I'm gonna add a little yellow here, just underneath his nose. So already you can start seeing your pig is transforming into a multicolored pig, like we had a paint fight and we threw paint at this pig. So putting yellow there, and you don't have to put your colors where I put mine. You can put them wherever you want. So I'm going into the hoof, being careful if you didn't wait for it to dry, because that black will come down, but that's all right. And you'll see I'm mixing a little bit of the yellow and purple together there. And I might put a big chunk of yellow up here in his top of his head. That's a big one. There we go. And I might cover some of that up with a different color. All right, washing my brush off. Now we're going to make orange, my favorite color. So I'm taking a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red. Don't need very much red. Red's a really strong color. Mix them together. See how I said it was a really strong color? You have to use a little more yellow. So there we have orange. I'm gonna add more yellow to make it a little more orangey. There we go. And I know it's hard to see on the camera, but we've got orange. So, and with the orange, we can do one layer with this orange, and then we can add a little bit of white to make a lighter orange. So I'm actually gonna put a little bit of orange and run it right into my yellow, and they're going to kind of mash together. So I'm going back and forth with my brush stroke and creating the mashing of the color. Okay, I'm gonna put another bit maybe down here, right up to that purple. And let's see, down in this hoof, in the corner of this hoof maybe, just being careful of that black. And how about right up to the yellow in this ear, where the purple and the yellow meet. Oh, I love them already. Now, I'm gonna add a little bit of white just to the corner of that orange, because I wanna make a lighter orange. So I'm just kind of mixing that together, and I'm using a small canvas, so we don't really need a lot of paint. All right, so the other side of his nose, I'm going to put this other orange, this kind of light orange, and I'll leave room for a different color later. And let's see, what else? Put a little bit maybe up under his chin. And some light orange at the tip of his ear. There we go. And I'm happy with that. So washing my brush off. Now, let's get some green in there. So if you don't have green, you can mix your green. You can mix blue and yellow together. A little bit of blue with a lot of yellow will make green. Now I cheated and I have a little green here. Again, it's a darker green, so I'm going to use it first, and then I'm going to add some white to it to make a light green. So first thing, dark green. Again, you can choose wherever you would like paint on your pig. So I'm going to go right above his nose, right smack into the orange, and maybe smack right into that yellow as well, right up to his nose. And if you want to mix it into the orange, you can do that. If you want to mix it into the yellow, you can do that too. So there's a green spot. I'm going to do another green spot at the bottom of his ear, right up to that purple. And how about bottom of this hoof, right into the yellow. Kind of runs right into the yellow. And probably should put some under his big chunky belly. There we go, and I'm running right into the purple and running right into the orange on this side. There. And again, you decide how big, how wide, how much paint. It can be a really thick paint if you want. All right, so now I'm gonna make some light green, so I'm adding a little bit of green just to the side. I like using a paper plate just because of the size of it, but if you have a palette, you can use it as well. And again, dollar stores have palettes. Grabbing some white. Again, you probably should have washed your brush off, which I didn't. Whoops. And I don't mind that color. It's a nice light color, but I might add another smidgen of white to go really light. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into his ear, put a little bit of green into his ear. So there's a spot. Let's go his chin. Oops. Go right under his chin. And you can run into the purple if you want. You can run into the yellow. Okay, and then maybe at the bottom of his hoof. All right, what do you guys think? Let's keep going. Now, one color we haven't touched upon is the pig's actual color, which is pink. So we can make pink. We have the power. So my white, which is now kind of a messy white because I haven't been washing my brush. So I'm gonna find a clear spot and I'm just gonna leave my white there and I'm just gonna take a little smidgen of red. Doesn't take much, just a little smidgen. And mix that together. And if it's too red, add more white. There we go, a nice pink color. All right, so around his nose, I'm gonna go pink. I'm gonna go right up to the green, right up to the yellow, and mix them together. And mixing those colors together. I'm going around the side. So there's one spot. I'm gonna go right against my purple, I think I'm gonna try. Right purple, kind of green area. And I'm gonna mix those colors. Alright, so there we go. And where else? Maybe in the very top ear, right here, I'm gonna put a little bit. And maybe in between the purple and the orange. Okay. And down this hoof, as you can see, we're starting to fill in our space. And I'm gonna go down to this hoof as well and just fill in that space. Top corner, and this is where you can start thinking about filling in all the spots that are white. Now, speaking of white, there's nothing saying you can't add white to your pig either. So you can just use pure white, and I'm gonna do that right underneath here. And mash it up with my yellow and my purple. And again, run them in together. Sometimes you can create some really neat colors. Have fun with it, explore the colors. Like I said at the start, there's no right or wrong answer here. We're just having some fun. Grabbing more white, and I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna mash it into my purple and go under the chin, maybe into some orange and the light purple here. And if you kind of rub them together, hopefully it isn't dry, fully dry yet, you can mix them together. All right. The last color for the last few spaces I'm going to use is just the pure blue. We did light blue up here. I'm just going to choose pure blue now, and I'm going to fill in the spaces that were left blank. Okay, I'm not going to say white because we're actually using a little bit of white to finish our pig off. So there's another space. Not forgetting the nostril area. A little bit of blue on the nose. And if you want to go over another color, say I'm going to add a little bit of blue here, you can do that, and it actually transformed it into a lighter blue. Okay, so now the last part is you're going to use your small brush, and you're just going to use your pure black, and we're going to put the finishing details of our pig. So dip my brush into the black. You're going to do the outline again. This time we're going to take it slow so that our outline is really fine detailed. Okay, it comes to a point, and you're just tracing over what you did earlier. Okay, but this time we're taking it slow and making sure that there's no rough edges. Okay, going around his face. Forgot the little ear, part of the ear there. And if your paint isn't fully dry, that's okay. Just try and go over it. So go over the top here, go around his face. And that was the top half circle that we did at the start. Now I'm going to do the bottom half circle again, tracing it around nice and slow. And you can see that that dark color pops those bright colors right out. Now I'm going over the big belly. And of course, yes, I know my bottom is black, so it's hard to see. But because we did texture, crisscrossing, you can actually see the difference. Okay. And you can even do a nice hard edge where your wall was. Go all the way around that big belly. All the way around. I'm gonna get the wall over here too, a nice fine edge. Your hooves, the letter W. Going slow, you don't have to go fast here, nice and slow so that you trace over your outline, or if you remember me saying the fancy art word, contour. And I just have to get this ear here. Trying to do it so my hand is not in the way. Oop. And bring those ears to a point if you want, or a curl or a flop, whatever. Your pig's ears can do whatever they want. And then the last thing to trace is the nose before we add the detail of the face. So tracing around your nose. Take your time. Oh, he's so cute. Hopefully you found a name for your pig. All right, so we're gonna put two little lines on the actual pig nose. So it's like the number 6. So the first one we're gonna do is a little 6. So just kind of a little 6 or almost a 6, okay? It's kind of hard to see that on that darker color. Maybe on the orange here you'll see. This time I'm going to do a backwards 6. Okay, and fill that in so you can see those little 6s. And then for the eyes, you get to choose what kind of eyes you want. So you can have your eyes closed, open. I'm going to just kind of do closed eyes, so it's almost like he's squinting. All right, or she, whatever. So one eye is going to be on this side, and it's just a little line. Okay, and then on the other side, it's a little line again. And you can make them as big or small as you want. And then the final piece to make this complete is the squiggly little tail. And depending on where your pig ended up, you could have a squiggly little tail coming out this side or this side. And how I do that, I dip into the black and I have my tail curl once and twice and up. All right, once and twice and up. You can retrace it if you want. It's just a fun little tail. And again, with the eyes, if you don't want them to be closed or squinted like that, you can have them even come down a little. Now my paint is still a little wet, so if yours is dry, you can wait for that, but you can have a little bit of a circle towards the end to make them look like they're open a little more. And then I wash my brush off, dry it off, and dip it into the white because I need to sign my name. And bottom right hand corner, you can do your initials or you can write your whole name. I'm going to do a C point S point because Christine Sloan. And there you are. There's your colorful, fun little pig. I'm hoping you're enjoying Spencerville Fair Virtual Edition this year, and stay tuned for more painting and drawing with me. Thanks, bye.